everybody? Doug A798 here, back for another rant, and this time this is a follow-up to my UFC rant. This is my rant on the entire MMA organization, on the entire MMA industry. In my opinion, the whole professional fighting circuit, especially MMA, sucks. Of course, you already have the UFC, which is the most popular. Sorry, which is the most popular and the most overrated and garbage fighting organization around. They have some of the worst fights possible. They have way too many shows, overexposure of the product, way too many shows, and mediocre fighters, which I covered in my last UFC Sucks video, which I just recently did. But the second problem I have with the first problem I have with the entire MMA organization is that actually the UFC started this. In Pride FC, in the Pride Fighting Championships in Japan, one of the cool things I loved about them, and this was in the early UFC too, the fighters, they got to come to the ring, they got to wear what they want to the ring. They got to wear what they want to the ring as long as they can control whatever they were wearing. They got to wear martial art gis, jogging pants or jogging suits, shirts and jogging pants, speedo underwear, tights, short tights, wrestling singlets. They got to wear whatever they wanted, whatever they wanted. When the UFC came around in 1998, of course I didn't mind them putting gloves on the fighters, but they made all the fighters either have to wear the very short tights, or the biker shorts, and the trunks, which is cool. I think the MMA gear is cool, but why does everyone have to wear that? They took away the concept. This is supposed to be freestyle fighting. Not only freestyle fighting as in striking and grappling, but freestyle fighting and show up how you want to. Instead, everyone looks the same. Everyone looks pretty much the same. So that makes it really boring to watch. Now, they look the same, and of course everyone fights the same because they only promote four styles, three styles. That is kickboxing, wrestling, and jiu-jitsu. It is barely any of those. They are some of the worst kickboxers, boxers, and most boring wrestlers and jiu-jitsu guys I've ever seen, man. And once again, like I said, the problem I had was that the UFC, they had the nerve to call themselves the greatest fighters in the world. They disc the fans are who I really have a problem with. I really have a problem with the UFC, the MMA fans, the MMA snobs who bash professional wrestling and bash real martial artists like Bruce Lee, like Jet Li, and people like that who are real martial artists, where these guys, like I said in my last video, they're Vale Tudo, Pancras, just shoot fighters, and not good ones at that, like the fighters back in the day, and wrestlers and brawlers, and once again, not good ones. Like I said, watching fighters like Paul Valorant, Tank Abbott, and Bob Sapp, those guys really weren't good fighters, were way more exciting and way more entertaining than watching any UFC fight today. And I have a couple of Pride FC DVDs here, and after seeing those awesome fights in Pride FC, these guys literally trying to kill each other in the ring and displaying awesome striking ability, awesome grappling ability. It's hard to come to this watered down garbage. But the problem I have with the UFC, see, since Dana pretty much took the UFC and got big with all this watering down crap, all this watered down garbage, other MMA organizations, instead of being different and unique, instead drop their previous rules and become and try to look like the UFC. Let's start off with one of my all-time favorite independent MMA organizations, and that's the King of the Cage, which has been around since 1998. 17 years. 17 years they've been in the fight game for 17 years. And in the 17 years, first of all, they haven't done anything. They really haven't done anything. They were most recently on pay-per-view. Now they're on Mark Cuban's HD's net, which I don't think that is good. Then of course, they're on so that's the first problem, not doing anything. One cool thing I liked about King of the Cage was I love their cool yellow cage, their cool yellow their cool black cage with the yellow canvas, and they had these badass. They had some of the most badass grappling gloves I've ever seen. They had these yellow gloves. Instead got a normal black cage with a whitish canvas, just like the UFC, and they all have black gloves, just like the UFC. Once again, trying to look like an exact clone of the UFC. No tournament fighting, just a bunch of super fights like boxing. Let's go to the next MMA organization, the IFCF Sports, the International Sports Combat Federation, the ISCF, which is another independent MMA organization that is actually the largest sanctioning MMA body that cooperates with other MMA organizations and sanctions both amateur and professional MMA. Once again, this promotion has been around just as long as almost as long as the UFC has, actually since 1998, just like King of the Cage. And in those 10 years, they haven't done anything. They're not even on TV. King of the Cage is at least on television somewhere. They're not even on television. So in that 17 years, haven't done anything. And now this promotion is actually my favorite. Is number one favorite because they at least kept the tournament fights. They kept the tournament fights, and they at least allow fighters to wear shirts, even though they can't wear pants, which I think sucks. But they can wear singlets and any other type of tights, and they can even wear shoes, wrestling mat shoes. So that's pretty cool. But I hate the fact they can't wear pants. Once again, that was in the old rules. Once again, as long as it was controlled, you could wear what you want to wear. You can wear what you want to wear. But once again, Dana White got popular with this. So once again, instead of being true to who they were, they copy. Instead of being unique or different, they copy the UFC. The next organization is the most popular one. Right. Well, the most popular one after the UFC, and that's Bellator MMA. When this promotion showed up, one of the coolest things they had was they had a tournament style fighting. They had tournament style fighting. When they first showed up, they were trying to be different and unique from the UFC. Then of course, in 2015, it's announced that the Bellator president will be dropping the tournament format. And of course, all the fighters once again have to wear tights, short tights, or trunks. Once makes all the fighters look the same. Once again, it's supposed to be freestyle fighting. So this is the problem I have with the entire MMA organization. And then of course, going back to monopolizing talent, instead of letting Bellator, at least like that, they let people work as independent contractors. Bobby Lashley, one of the things I do love about Bellator, professional wrestler Bobby Lashley wrestles for TNA, but also fights for Bellator, which I think is pretty cool. But you got the UFC monopolizing the MMA game, which makes the product stale and boring. Which makes the product stale and boring because you're not really seeing any good fighters. You're just seeing a stable of fighters traveling around and fighting, just like in the WWE, and I think that is lame. This was my second rant on MMA. Oh yes, another problem I have with MMA fighters like GSP, George St. Pierre. He was so good that he has no competition. Once again, because of the monopolization. Then you got then you got people has-beens like Rampage. There are a lot of old fighters I would love to see come back and fight today, but Rampage is not one of them. I'm sick of him. And Dana quickly signs him back to the UFC. I never forgave Rampage after putting on that horrible fight with Rashad Evans. All right, Doug out.